share the blog post the first week of someone attended a alpha camp boot camp the other day? I think I shared
the girl was new to learning
yes,
Rails.
yes.
Yeah.
When you read it, right, it feels familiar, right? That girl just basically blogged about nothing makes sense. Being stuck like first day, second day, to end of week. But she was just like at night she would pick one book to read, pick another book to read, and then at the end of the week on Sunday, I'm like, oh, I can start to understand what Stack Overflow is. I can actually look for the right answer when I need. I can start to understand how I do Googling. So it does take time. Sometimes go like this, right? So you work on this, then don't give up. If something doesn't work, sometimes you can keep trying, like the lab, because you get help. The other time, just try something else that works for you. Don't keep trying something that doesn't work. For example, if you keep watching the videos and you're like, I kind of get it, but I don't get it, then try something else. Okay? So I have an important question to ask. Yeah, you guys gonna answer to me honestly, yeah? Are you ready for an honest answer? How many times have you typed Rails new? Think about that, right? Type Rails new. Okay? So I'm gonna just give maybe about 1 to 5 times so far in your life, yeah? Maybe this is 5 to 10 times, 10 to 20 times, 20 to 30 times, more than 30 times. Where are you guys at? Huh? Here? Or here? Here.
Just use to create the project, right?
Yeah.
So we have 5 aside then.
Yeah, exactly. About that. So most of you will be around here, am I right? Sometimes you do that in the lab as well. So I think maybe some of you are here, but you just try to think of all the different names you have used. Maybe lab 1, lab 2, right? Human book and stuff. Have you ever created a project twice? Like maybe Phúc Bay, Rails new Phúc Bay, and then after I'm going to start from scratch. Phúc Bay.
Usually we start from Git.
Okay. Alright, so I asked this because the more actually is the better. So don't hesitate to rebuild. Because some of you have got here feeling it's okay. You can start from my starter code, right? But what if you're like, but I want to rebuild that from scratch? Do that. And this is the week to do that. This is the week that some of the topics that I'm teaching now feel it's a bit advanced. It's okay. You have the time to, and go and rebuild the Facebook clone, starting from like user sign in, sign up, commenting, posting, liking, Ajax. Then you get, when you do WebSocket now, it will make sense. JavaScript, JSON, right? So don't hesitate to try a lot of different things. Each time I teach you guys, I do Rails new, like to practice one time, and then I have to go and show you guys. So this is a lot of times actually. And I don't mind because I know it's like playing the piano. Each time I get better, hopefully, right? At least I believe I get better.
When I need to set up the gem,
Uh-huh.
there's many things I know that I will use in every kind of a project. So is there any way to save the template?
Correct. So another question is, how many times have you added the Boom Rails gems, right, for example? Now, here is one of the many programmers' mistakes. For example, if you first week you learn Rails, and then if you ask that question in the first week, I would be like, no, don't worry, I'll tell you on the 10th week. It's precisely the mistake people want to jump. They want to run before they can walk, right? Of course, there are many ways to set up the template. You can Google that easily. Something called Rails app. They generate a project for you. Do you want Bootstrap? Do you want jQuery? Do you want React? Do you want this? It adds everything. But these are the really bad ones for you to start, because then you don't practice any of this muscle. You don't learn the easy stuff. Now you start learning solving the hard stuff. Right? That's why I'm going to ask some of you, if you're behind, to go back to the easy stuff, because this WebSocket stuff is going to be too hard. And then it's like no one is learning. So yes, right? There are templates. When you go into the real world, it should be a pain for you. It should be like, shit, I've done 10 projects. I've done 10 projects for my clients. I've made $100,000. Now I'm going to use a template to save my time. It cuts short the time to build something. If you use any template now, it will cut short the time. It's more like it cuts short the knowledge that you learn something. So don't. Until this day, I have never needed to use a template. Why? The easy part, like, it will change. Like the way I set up Bootstrap, something will break. Boomar, something will break. Why do I bother with that? Like, I can fix anything fast anyway. And the reason I can fix anything fast because I run into so many problems in the past. So I've seen people problem. Do not go for templates. Have you seen an iOS app where you just like load a template and then you just start building from it? People don't do that. You create a great one without it. However, it saves you time to add something like device. Sure. You still should feel like sometimes you implement your own user authentication. You see, in your homework, if you did that, Ian, right, it would have saved you time because uploading a user profile image would have been easier. But because you wanted to work with device, it's okay. Your learning is different. But just know that sometimes do I need to store users' IP? Do I need to send user emails? Do I need to track, do password recovery? If you say yes to this, use device. Because building it yourself right now is like, okay, that's an uninteresting problem. Maybe next time I can solve that. But you just say, I'm building a chat app, and I just need to, a user to be able to sign in, change some profile image. I need to store the user company information. Oh shit, customization. Okay, I should build my own. How hard is it? Rails generate model user. Email password digest. Rails generate controller users. Define user params, blah blah. But you can start doing this. You can start writing code on your whiteboard that's Rails code. Do you know, people ask why there's no Rails IDE? Do you know what's an IDE? Yeah. Integrated development environment. You know why you've been using VS Code? Well, yes, it's smaller, faster to load, and it's not an IDE. It's a text editor. What does it have? Just have some colors for you, and then you can type some, Rails console in the terminal, this integrated terminal. The reason is that Rails, it's the expressiveness of the syntax, right? You can actually remember. And if you build iOS app, you have to use Xcode because there are just all these function names that are super long. It's just different characteristics, right? But I guarantee with you, if I interview you some iOS stuff right now, I ask the most basic questions about Swift, the programming language, about just doing some closure, then putting this block in that, you're like, oh crap, I can do this in Ruby, but I cannot do it in Swift. Why? Because we're learning it the hard way. The people who just like to start with IDE first are the people who learn slower. The people who learn with the text editor, that just with colors, they learn faster. Did I show you guys how to stop a program in the middle and click next, next, next and see where things are? No. That's when it's really advanced and I know how to do it, but a lot of time I'm actually faster just writing puts all over and trying to, because I want my brain to do the work. What method is it going to? What controller is it going to? And my brain should answer that question, not the IDE. So it's this discipline that sometimes having a really experienced teacher, it's nice because we can ask about these things. If you just follow a book, sometimes because these are the topics we don't talk about, right? But yeah, just if you guys have more questions along these things, how do I, what is it that can make me more efficient? So your question just now is very good. Oh, are there templates? So I can start an application and boom, I have everything. User login, sending messages to another, maybe chatting function. Now I just need to add something like a house, a marketplace. Yeah, sure, but much later. Or if you do that, you run into a bug with a problem with adding an image to a message, changing the way the chat works, and you just spend forever because now you have to understand how people do their stuff. Part of being a great developer, being great in programming, is to realize that we spend 90% of the time reading code and only 10% writing. So if you have less code, the code that you write, you read, you will understand. If you take in a lot of code that people write, you spend most of the time reading that, and I guarantee for the first time you read it, it makes no sense. So you have to be very disciplined. Right? I come back and I read and I read. Waste a lot of time, no? Right? But, okay, for our class, I encourage you to read my code because it's meant to be just covering things you already know. It's a good way to review. Redo your homework while it's still possible in this class. So I talked to Charles, we wanted to take it slow last week, and I think it's really okay. But go, and you can just take the time and read something else or redo your homework. Rebuild those like and commenting features. Okay, so ask yourself these silly questions. I don't know, this probably is 50 times more than 50 times for me. That's why I know it so well, because every time I just type, and then git commit, and it's so natural. You add something, and you know exactly how many lines of code just change when you type git commit. It's a very good habit. And then when people work with you, they will be like, wow, that guy. It's like he looks good every day. It's like, dressing good well every day because you buy all these expensive clothes, nice looking clothes. No, I have all this expensive, experience in my coding. And I just like, when I do it, people say, wow, right? That's good. And we can try to add these things to it. Of course, there's a fast way. Just go and buy a Mac and you sit there and people look at you and say, wow, that guy. But more than that, right? And then now everyone has a Mac and say, okay, fine, you're the same. Of course, that's why some programmers want to learn Vim. Because if you sit next to, wow, that guy, he uses Vim. There are little things you can do, but of course, it's dangerous if you're like, okay, Vim is my way to conquer the world, and you go spend hours and days learning Vim, and then while everyone is learning the easy things, you're learning the hard things. You're just learning at the wrong time. So do it later, and in some period of time if you like. So, okay. Just to remind you guys how much we learned, and we haven't done this in a while. I want to just take some time to just talk over any questions about something you still feel unclear about. Very quickly, So, could we actually remember what we learned in the previous 3 weeks? Let's start with last week. What did we learn? JSON format. Did you learn how to return the search result in JSON? So you query, filter it a little bit, then use JavaScript to take that data. Anything else? Full? What did we learn last week? Think about the features that you implemented. It's all related. Searching. Tagging people, right? Yeah, I see your GIF that tagging people, mentioning, adding in the post. You could also make it work. The harder one will be like the Facebook way when if you mention people in the text area, it will tag people as well.
Somehow I want to complete.
Yeah, it's combining both. You can do that. It could be a personal challenge to take on. It's not bad. In our reviewer tool, we have it, but I haven't deployed. It's funny. But okay, anything else, Lewis? That's oh yeah, like pagination and also infinite scrolling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So paginations is the ability to tell the database to only return 10 results at a time. The first 10, the second 10, the next 10, or something. Of course, it doesn't have to be 10. And infinite scrolling is about triggering, checking, okay, you're scrolling. You scroll past this position on the screen. Give me the JSON of the results, of the next 10 results. Yeah? And then jQuery append it back. Okay. And of course, I think you keep deploying to Heroku. I want you to also feel that you get what you need with Heroku. Okay, so ask questions. How do I back up my data? How do I send emails? How do I just anything you can think of under the sun. Save the errors when they happen. How do I get the error sent to my email when I have an error, user run into an error on my Heroku app? Heroku is like Rails. And funnily, they've also built Heroku, right? First, it was just to deploy your Rails app. That's it. And then after that, everyone loves it so much. And then, they Heroku support Python app, Node.js app, and everything.
I saw them mentioned in some kind of marketing article.
Yeah.
That were talking about Heroku's initial landing page,
Uh-huh.
which was just like a couple of lines of just code, like install Heroku, like run Rails, like 5 lines of code, and then you're done.
Yeah.
So like instead of like a nice looking with nice images, anything, just like straight up just code.
Yeah.
Like talking to developers.
Exactly. That's really cool that the Rails way and the Heroku way it's convention over configuration. Why do you need to tell me where your database file is? I know where it is. Why do you need to tell me how do you deploy on production? You git push Heroku master, boom, everything just there. I don't even need you to tell me the name. I'll just give you the name, right? So there's just a ton of convention that is really powerful, and it's quite similar thinking. But this is our opportunity to learn that. And then when you do your Rails deployment, you put your Rails code in your own server, you're like, how can I do something similar to that? Then you have a good guidance to set things up. Okay, so let's say the previous week, week 6, is there anything? Just shout out anything, guys. Come on, give me a few. I don't want. Was it in week 6 or 7?
I think that was.
So this is 7. Jason, Ajax, yeah, email, thank you. And then? I think we also have a little bit of oh, that's week 6. Anything? Do you see the test coverage? Circle CI stuff. So it's to give you the confidence. You're not using it, but don't forget that when you work on a real project, add some tests and then set up Circle CI. It's powerful. Do you remember the controller test? Even you write one test, visit the index page, my page should run successfully. Wow, it's like, how hard is that test? Get index, expect response to be success, right? Do you know it runs the entire controller, right? It runs the entire controller action, and it runs the model that's in there. So if you make a mistake along the way, your test will fail. If you make a mistake in your model, you forget to set this instance variable in the controller, it will fail. It's really powerful. You don't know when your stuff fails. You actually fall asleep and then there's a character on your keyboard that hit there and in that controller. Normally it's hard to know. Of course, if you do git, you should look and then you can catch. But sometimes you don't. You just git add period and just add everything. So very simple test like I can create a user successfully in a model unit test. Simple test like I can log in successfully. I can create a user account, just a controller test or integration test. You can write an integration test as well. Don't underestimate that. Just these basic ones are super powerful, and it helps our thinking as well. Okay, then what is it in lab 5? We started to really use what we learned in the previous weeks to build a more complicated app. And you have to think about friendship, messaging. You reuse the message concept because I believe in. Oh, great! So this week was really all the models, right? Friendship and messages. So and seeding data. You see that every week we talk about seeding data because if you just work like ASDF all the damn time, you're not using your brain to create something interesting, and it may be bad, right? That you don't detect when the user need to use what feature. Okay, so this is more like model relationship. Right, and a few more. Okay, so this week is. Let me open that one. This week. Okay, this is the wrong lab. This is the internal lab. Let me find. So today I give you guys an option. This week is we will look more into the API stuff. Okay, and we also have the. Because it's API, where I actually will show you how to use add React to your project. There will be one lab as well. But the most powerful one is actually WebSocket. So did you guys try the WebSocket tutorial? The previous lab, for those who like to look into that, no worries. Even if you did it, I am 100% confident that you learned something new, right? This is deep dive. Even the TAs will be like, okay, this is new and it's nice. So that's always the goal that I don't want my TAs to be falling asleep when it's too boring. This is like, I can just read it anywhere. Okay, so this week it's, even though it's like a few topics in here, but they're all optional topics. The really important ones that get your app to deploy to Heroku, like Charles asked you guys to do last week. You need to understand that. And if you don't feel good about it, rebuild it. Tweak the layout a little bit. Okay? Because the stuff in there, just creating a comment, liking something, how to run the JavaScript, how to do link to remote, form for remote, and ask if you're stuck. Okay? Alright. Before we dive into this week's topics, anything that we learned in the past that you guys feel like you want some clarification or discussion on? Very good. So, do we know what? Does anyone know what optimistic update is?
Yeah, when you update the client with the new information before actually getting back the information from the server.
Right. So I'm gonna take this topic right here. Optimistic updates. Does anyone know else also have an idea of optimistic update? It's just a terminology. It's optional, but let me just try to explain this concept again. So if you like a post, right? This is your post, okay? This is my first post, and then someone else has like and unlike. Now this is non-optimistic, traditional. User clicks like, browser sends request. Now in this case, and then browser reloads while waiting to server, okay? Waiting from server. Browser renders page based on server's response. Are we clear about that traditional flow? But this is not nice. You scroll down, you like, and then the whole page reloads. Okay, a better approach with Ajax. Okay, user clicks like, browser sends request via Ajax, not reloading. Browser gets server response. Then now here, browser renders that, let's say, updates page right there, right? But only update the like button, for example. Now you can choose to using any of this. Browser can just run the server JavaScript, or browser can run browser JavaScript, but using data from server JSON. Okay? Or browser can run JavaScript, but just insert the HTML that the server prepares. Now this part, come back and ask me if you're not sure. Okay? We and some others. If you're not sure, this could be the server will tell your browser, run this. Add class is liked to this browser button, right? This approach, the server return HTML will say, just use this like button with the add class, is class in there. Just replace this HTML with that. It uses JavaScript, but the server take care of all the complicated rendering of the comment or the like button. JSON is that server, here's the data. You can do whatever you want with it. And then the browser will be like, okay, I go here and I insert the like button, or maybe the comment, the like username. Okay, so there are three ways. Come again? The JavaScript way what? The JavaScript way? The JavaScript way is just, if you like button, so this will go into your likes controller and then toggle.js, and this one will just execute what? JavaScript on the browser. And the browser doesn't have any existing JavaScript. It just runs that client server JavaScript. Another way, that you run, for example, user search.json. Now it's only data, right? Client, browser is client, okay? Runs its JavaScript using the JSON, received JSON. Okay? Okay, so that seems fine, but the problem is when the user click like, and then until the user see the word unlike, become unlike. This can take a second or two because of the internet. Okay? So, optimistic, it's going to be like this. Can someone maybe give it a try? Oscar, you want to try? User click like?
first we still send the information to the
You-
server.
Right, sure. But you can do the optimistic, so you can actually update right now. Browser changes,
Like to online.
right? Browser JavaScript changes like to unlike or is like or something, right? Now browser JS sends request to server. Then is that done?
No, wait
So
for
the server is checking if it's
Server, browser, JS checks server response. If success, do nothing. Okay? If fail, let user know or just change unlike back to like. So this is when you say, okay, the internet's not working. Okay. So for example, here browser check server response, it may be the internet is down. So you will start to see, oh, it likes and then get back to unlike again. So this experience is smoother because optimistic update is when the browser knows what a successful, right, result is like. Sometimes you don't. Can you do optimistic update if you just want to refresh the page and get the latest post from friends? I don't know what you're going to post. There's no way I can do optimistic updates on that. But if I like your post, I can do optimistic update. If I comment on your post, I only use data from my computer. When I comment, it will display my comment, but when the server returns, it may return my comment with some likes, and then the browser updates it again. Does that make sense? So technically here, this like is very simple, but for comment, remember that when the server returns you the comment, in that split second, someone may like your comment. Okay, that's one topic that you could ask about, and we don't have time to cover all the topics, but come, ask, right? I still don't understand link to remote. Okay, no problem. Let's try without link to without remote, and then link to with remote true, form 4 with remote true. Try things like that. I don't understand respond to block thing. Okay, but try it and then see what, by now it's powerful, right? You can handle 3 situations, right? JS. Okay. Now you could actually do something like format, feed, RSS. Add them in RSS ads one way. So there's a feed, so you can subscribe. Instead of emailing your staff the changes when someone makes an order or something changed, you just put that in a feed, and that person will use a feed app. It will automatically load. That's quite nice. Okay. Last chance to dig into any other topic before we dive into WebSocket. Okay, then take a 2-minute break, and we'll get into WebSocket. So you guys can everyone should do the WebSocket lab, because in the first part. The second part is later. It's optional.